So we'll take a new project. We'll try to see how to perform simple encryptions in .NET, how to work with the files and directories in .NET, and so on and so on. Okay. So let's say encryption model. Now, one of the very common thing may be to know the list of the files which is present, say, in a specific directory. So we'll take one text box and let's change the name to txt directory name. Okay, we'll take a label say directory. Let us take a browse button let's take a browse button, and once we click on the button, on the browse button, let's call this name as btn browse. When you browse the button, the user must be shown with a directory dialog box. Whatever directory user selects, all its file content should be present in a list box. Let's put a label to tell user what is the content of this list box. Let's say directory contains. Okay, so whenever we click on the browse button, user should be shown with a folder browser dialog. Okay, in .NET there is a control called folder browser dialog. So you can take an folder browser dialog object, say fbd is equal to new folder browser dialog. Okay, if fbd dot show dialog, so show dialog will return OK or cancel based on whether user has pressed the cancel button or user has selected anything. If user has selected OK, if user has selected any file name, then only sorry, then we'll put that file name. So txt directory name dot text is equal to fbd dot selected path. Fine. Let's see whether up to this we are getting the result or not. So as we click on the browse button, folder browser dialog has got opened. If we cancel, nothing should happen. If we select one directory, let's say desktop directory, and if we say OK, the folder name should appear. Okay. Now what we want is, we want all the content of this folder to be displayed over here. Most of the file and directory related operations are present in a namespace of .NET by name system.io. Okay. So what we are going to do is, using system.io, we are going to use this namespace using system.io. In the system.io, we have a class called directory. Okay, directory dot get files, which path txt directory name dot text. So if you put your mouse over here, you can see that directory dot get files returns strings which are nothing but the file name. So we can always take it in a string array fnames. All we want to do now is for int I is equal to 0, I is less than fnames dot length I plus plus listbox1 dot items dot add fnames of I. Okay, so each item we are going to add, and before adding we'll make sure that if there is any previous content in the list box, that gets cleared. Okay, let's say if I select this directory, say OK, all the file names will be present over here. Let's make this a little bigger, the list box, so that we are able to view this. Completely. Let's say browse. Okay. Now, let's say if I double click on this, okay, I want this particular resource to get opened in order to visualize this. So whenever I click on a file, let's assume that I want to open that file. So for opening the file, when the list box item is changed, we'll double click on list box. So whenever the selected item has got changed, we'll come inside selected item part, string fname is equal to listbox1 dot selected item dot toString, which is nothing but a file name. You can open any file name or execute any existing file in .NET just by using system.diagnostic.process.start file name. By using diagnostic.process.start, you can start an external process or file name or whatever. So if you run this command, let's say I'll first select a directory. Many of the files has appeared. Okay, let's say 3D scan image I want to open. If I click here, you see this has got opened. If I click here, this has got opened. PPT file, it's got open. So what we have done is we have taken a directory and then we are able to visualize all the files of that directory. Let's say, okay, so we are able to show this. Now we want to implement a simple cryptographic technique on this document. Okay, so we'll take one folder, let's say Raghav, okay, and we'll keep one text file. Let's say now what we are going to do is we are going to display the content of the file, okay, if the file extension is, say, for example, .txt. Okay, so at this stage, instead of diagnostic process, we'll see if fname dot ends with .txt. Later on we'll extend it to other type of files. Okay, at this moment we'll work with txt. Under that situation, I want to read that file and display it in a text box. Let's say, let me put one more text box. For file content. But if you want to, a file may have multiple lines. If you try to increase the height of the text box, you'll not be able to do that. By default, in .NET, text box is a single line text box. On the top of text box, there is a small arrow icon. If you click on this icon, there is an option called multi-line. As you select multi-line, the text box will be converted into multi-line. Okay. Let me put one label. Let's say file contains. Let's say file content. Now, if it ends with text, I can read the content of a file dot read all text fname. Just by giving file dot read all text command, if you pass a file name, all the data of the file will be read out. And this I can put in this text box. Let's change the name to txt content. Let's change this name to txt content, and txt content dot text is equal to s. So I have a directory, say Raghav, where I have a file called hello.txt. If you select that file, all its content is going to be available over here. Now, I want to implement an encryption option, a very simple encryption on the file. Okay. So string fname is equal to listbox1 dot selected item dot toString. User may forget to select anything and still click on this button. Under that situation, nothing in the list box is selected. It might generate an exception. So let's handle that exception from the word go. Okay, so we have a file name. Now we want to encrypt that. You see, .NET has got an option called file.encrypt. We can use okay. Now, if you look at this option called encrypt, only the users of this particular system will be able to decrypt that file. Okay, this file cannot be used by any other account holder. Say for instance, if administrator encrypts that, no other person will be able to decrypt that. However, my intention is not to use this kind of encryption. I want to have a key, okay, which I want to provide it to the system. If the key is correct, okay, under that situation, file should be able to be decrypted, whether it is administrator or whether it is anybody else. But .NET's built-in encryption method is only account-based encryption method, which allows only the account holder to decrypt the file, okay, and it cannot be, no, you cannot share your password with anybody so that he also can decrypt. So, .NET also has got a class called system.security.cryptography. I mean, also a namespace called system.security.cryptography. This cryptography class, I mean, this cryptography namespace has got several options, both symmetric as well as asymmetric, which you can use further, and DES, triple DES, which we'll see at a later stage, like how we can use it. But now my intention is not to use any of the predefined cryptographic method, rather implement a very simple cryptographic system of ours to show how the file can be encrypted. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to ask for a key from the user. Let's say password. So user needs to enter his key over here in order to get the file contents been encrypted, and that encryption result I want to display here. Let's say and let's change the text box name as txt encrypted. txt encrypted. Now, very simple encryption algorithm. We have the file contents in text box by name txt content.txt. What we can do is, one of the very simple encryption technique is XORing a password with the message. Okay, so let's say int I equal to 0. Okay, string enc is equal to, initially we have no encrypted data. For int j is equal to 0, j is less than s dot length j plus plus. Also because the encoding will be performed character by character, it also makes sense to convert everything into character array. So let's say character array message is equal to s dot to character array. Okay, and character array password is equal to txt. Let's make this name to txt key. Let's change the name to txt key. Okay, so txt key dot dot text dot to character array. Okay, now you see, message might be quite huge, password may not be that many characters, right? So we loop through j is less than s dot length j plus plus. Now character C is equal to, let us take one character from the message of J, and let us perform an XOR with password of I. Now password length will be smaller, right? So if you keep on incrementing I will become 8, 9, 10, which will be more than the length of the password, right? If you say modulus, I plus plus modulus, password dot length, then what will happen is, suppose your message is hello and your password is hi, okay? First time J is equal to 0. So we have two characters, H and H. Its XOR will be taken. Next time J will become 1, I will become 1. E is a character, I is a character. Next time J will become 2, L is a character, I will become 3. If I becomes, I becomes also 2, there is no character, so this program will stop, right? Now if I write I plus plus modulus 2, so once I becomes 0, 1, as it becomes 2, again it will become 0, okay? So every time that can be repeated. So and finally this result will convert it back into a character, and this character we are going to append it with ENC plus C. Finally at the end, txt encrypted dot text is equal to ENC. Let's see how this thing works. Suppose we select this directory from desktop. We have a file here. Let's select this file. We have its content. Let's have a keyword and let's say encryption. Okay, the file content will get changed into this. Now let's copy this content, paste it here, and again perform a re-encryption. Can you see that it has got back? So XOR, the whole logic is something like this. Suppose 101 is your message, 111 is your password. After XOR operation it will become 0, 1, 0. Again if you perform an XOR with 111, your result is again going to be 101, which is nothing but the message, okay? So what I want to do is, after this process has been encrypted, I want to replace the content of the original file, okay? So yeah, because one character I am doing, and then I am creating a whole string out of that. Yeah, one character I am encrypting, and then I am putting it into a blank string, such that all the characters are converted. What I am going to do now is file dot delete fname. Let's delete the actual file. After deleting, file dot write all text. We'll be writing the new text, comma. Okay, so we'll be overriding the old content. Now let's see. We have something called, okay, let's take this content, let's give a text It has got changed. Let's close this. Okay. Yes, it's erased. It's been replaced with the encrypted text. Okay. Now, for decryption, okay.
Suppose I give here.
One second, I'm coming to that. So you are able to now recover your data, right? So now because it's a symmetric process, let's change the name to encryption or decryption, right? Now, what happens if I, let's say, take this directory, take this, let's say give hi for encryption decryption. It's encrypted. Next time, while decrypting, instead of hi, let me give integrated as the password. Okay. Say encryption decryption. As you can see, that the content cannot be recovered. Okay. And in order to make this character as the password character, such that user is not able to see this password, all you need to do is, there is a property called password character. Just put some character here. That's it. Okay. So this is how we can perform.
So give integer number as a key.
You can give. Let us create, let us delete this file, or let us overwrite the content with, say, at the end it is considering everything to be integer itself, because XOR operation can be performed only on the integers. So let's say I've given this. This is the content. Let me give a key as 1, 2, 3, 4. If I say encryption decryption, it is going to be in this way. Again, if I take this content and let's say encryption and decryption, if I call,
How it is performing typecasting, that is integer to string and string to integer?
no, there is no typecasting from integer to string. See, what we are doing is, we are reading the, we have converted the text as a character array. We are reading one character after the other, and we are performing an XOR operation amongst them. After performing XOR operation, again I am typecasting it back as a character and putting it into the string. Okay, so string will be converted into characters. Characters will have an XOR operation amongst them. The resultant will be put back into the string. That's the encrypted data.
In this case, we have given like, so key is 1, 2, 3. First message is H. How it will
Key.
convert the H to 1?
No, key is not 1, 2, 3. Key is string 1, 2, 3.
String 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, whatever key you give, whether number or this thing, it is going to take it as character, right? Yeah. There is no number conversion. The conversion is actually happening over here. Any data type, when you convert a string into character, character by itself is an unsigned integer. So you can add, subtract, delete, multiply, all the operations that you can perform on integer can also be performed on characters also. The same thing we are doing over here. After doing that, we are putting that character back into a string format.
So whatever keys it is going to transform in terms of characters.
Of course.
Then it is performing
With
XOR operation.
XOR operation. Yeah.
The ciphertext is going to generate.
Absolutely. This is the most basic form of encryption.
Sorry.
Hmm?
Performing XOR.
XOR.